Content warning, hey there, hi! Somehow, in this video that's about Walt Disney World, we end up on the subject of the violent legacy of colonialism in Africa and sexual assault. I'm as disappointed as you are. On with the show. Hello, it's me, Disney's Marvel's Thought Slime Infinity War. Well, I hate to break it to everybody, but those dastardly woke lords are up to their old tricks again. They're out there making me think about uncomfortable stuff while I'm trying to mindlessly consume. Their obsessive pursuit of making everyone else comfortable has made me mildly less comfortable, and that's simply not acceptable. We must return to the sensible, natural values of the past which centered me and people like me. I'm of course referring to Walt Disney's World, a theme park in Orlando, Florida that has gone full level 5 SJW. I cannot stress enough that this is a normal thing to care about as an adult with a job, and also a crisis that if left unchecked may make dozens, maybe hundreds of theme parks slightly more annoying to me personally. That's what's at stake here, people! Jonathan Van Boeskirk wrote an article for the Orlando Sentinel, which brought this issue to my attention, and it is perhaps the most pathetic thing ever committed to paper. It's certainly the most pathetic thing I've read in a long time, and part of my job is to read literal YouTube comments. This is a complete non-issue, like it could not be less of anything. Let's look at this. Look at this man. He's 60 years old and he wrote this.
My family and I have been loyal Disney customers for decades. We vacation at Disney World every year. We take a Disney cruise every year or two.
You're sick. You're deeply sick.
Consequently, we spend way too much money in Orlando. Unfortunately, I am strongly rethinking our commitment to Disney and thus Orlando. The more Disney moves away from the values and vision of Walt Disney, the less Disney World means to me. Disney is forgetting that guest immersion is at the core of its business model. When I stand in Galaxy's Edge or Fantasyland, I know I am in a theme park. But through immersion and my willingness to set the real world aside, something magical happens. The spell is broken when the immersive experience is shattered by the real world. And boy, has Disney been breaking the immersion. Recently, Disney announced that cast members are now permitted to display tattoos, wear inclusive uniforms, and display inclusive haircuts. Disney did all of this in the name of allowing cast members to express themselves.
Disney World is allowing cast members, read underpaid employees, to display tattoos and choose their own hairstyle, which somehow breaks this guy's immersion. Like, he can't pretend he's actually in space or a haunted mansion because he saw a tattoo. He specifically lists Star Wars Galaxy's Edge as an example of this. And Bud, hey Bud, Star Wars is full of magic space wizards. In Star Wars, puppets can teach you telekinesis. In Star Wars, there's a dog man who shoots a laser crossbow. Some of the aforementioned space wizards, by the way, have tattoos. What do you find more difficult to believe when you see it? What makes you feel like you're not looking at reality more? A person who has a tattoo, a thing you presumably see every day, or literally Darth Vader? What the fuck kind of suspension of disbelief you got there, pal? Like, even if you think tattoos are shocking, and if you do, welcome to the 21st century. Sorry to hear about the coma you've been in. Star Wars is about a broken galaxy ravaged by war, populated by morally gray antiheroes. The characters are meant to be kind of world-weary and tough and have designs which imply a background of trauma from the galaxy-spanning civil war they're all embroiled in. So probably some of them have tattoos is the thing. He could have chosen any Disney property to make this point. He specifically chose Star Wars. Like, it'd surprise me to see somebody with a full sleeve tattoo in, say, Beauty and the Beast. But on the other hand, it would also surprise me to see someone wearing a lanyard that said Disney World, or someone standing next to the Beast taking a selfie with him on their 21st century cell phone, because obviously none of this is real, it's a theme park and you're a grown man. Well, to be fair, he also listed Fantasyland, where I guess it might be more difficult to imagine someone with a tattoo, but also, in Fantasyland, you can go to Alice in Wonderland's tea party where a magical caterpillar and a talking rabbit are hanging out, so maybe broaden your perspectives on what things are and are not possible in this magical theme park attraction, my guy.
The problem is, I'm not traveling across the country and paying thousands of dollars to watch someone I do not know express themselves. I am here for the immersion and for the fantasy, not the reality of a stranger's self-expression. I do not begrudge these people their individuality, and I wish them well in their personal lives. But I do not get to express my individuality at my place of business. What's next? Disney's going to end the rule barring on-stage cell phone use by cast members as an infringement on self-expression?
I'm not sure that's really comparable, because like an actor's job depends on them staying in character. But if you're just like some guy working at Disney World, it doesn't matter if you have a tattoo. Like obviously if you dressed up as Winnie the Pooh, you probably shouldn't be showing off your tramp stamp with Pickle Rick on it, but it's not really equivalent. Allow us to imagine that Disney did this. Let us imagine that Disney, so committed to self-expression are they, allowed the guy in the Gaston outfit to answer his phone in full view of the nation's children. Okay, let's just say that's a thing that will happen. It never would happen. It's a very silly thing to imagine, but let's pretend that it did for the sake of argument. Here we are in the world where that might happen. And it's just a follow-up question for you, Jonathan, a real brain teaser. So what? Who cares? Like, you realize the goal isn't to trick people into thinking that the real Goofy is walking around, right? Like, even the kids get that it's a guy in a suit and not the real Goofy, who is a cartoon dog. This nightmare scenario you've concocted where a guy in a Goofy costume talks on a phone, it boggles the mind why you would even care at all. Like, that'd be sort of interesting, I guess. If I saw that, I'd think, oh, hey, look, Goofy's on his phone. Huh. Yeah, I wouldn't be thinking about it 2 minutes later. I certainly don't fear the possibility and feel the need to guard against the moral decay, which brings us to the precipice of Donald Duck checking his Tinder real quick when he thinks nobody's looking. All of this is moot, anyway. All of it is moot, because obviously the employees in costume are not going to be doing that. Obviously, this inclusive hairstyle and uniform policy doesn't apply to the guy in the Mickey Mouse costume, dude. Nobody is tattooing over the costumes. What does it matter how the employees dress? How can it break your immersion more than a fucking Disney World uniform?
More broadly, like many corporations, Disney has been politicizing its business. Full disclosure, I am a Christian and a conservative Republican, so the people who run Disney and I do not see eye to eye. Regardless, corporations have always made politically motivated decisions. Usually, it is due to the desire to make a profit, but sometimes it is due to the values of the people at the corporation. Walt Disney used his corporation to express his patriotism during World War II and his pro-capitalism beliefs afterward. The difference today is that the people who run Disney use social media to scream to the whole world that a decision has been made for political reasons.
I would pay upwards of 5 crisp Canadian dollars to find out what the fuck Jono von Bonerqueef thinks politics is. Because when I think of companies who are famously political, I do not think of the Walt Disney Corporation. I see them as somewhat risk-averse, actually. Like the name Disney is synonymous with safe, unupsetting, middle-of-the-road entertainment. Now don't get me wrong, all art is political, but not all art is expressly political. And Disney seems to go out of its way to make sure that its work never is. And when it absolutely has to be, it gives you the blandest, most agreeable take imaginable. Like, everybody should be nice, because it doesn't want to alienate anybody. And being patriotic and pro-capitalist are both political. He claims that his problem is just the corporation being too forthright about something being done for political reasons. Like, not the actual decisions, but the fact that they're being too loud about making them. And I guess that could be a legitimate complaint, like Disney pats itself on the back too much. But as we'll see, that's not his problem. Can you guess what changes he's mad about? Where does your mind go? What type of thing do you think Disney is changing that made this man very mad?
Disney's in the process of taking the woke scalpel to the Jungle Cruise. Trader Sam is out because he might offend certain people. Every grown-up in the room realizes that Trader Sam is not a representation of reality and is meant as a funny and silly caricature. It is no more based in racism than every Disney caricature of an out-of-touch white American dad.
Not 2 sentences ago, he was talking about how important immersion was to the magic of the experience. How you gotta be able to forget it's all make-believe, if only for just a moment. That's part of the Disney World experience. Now, none of it is a representation of reality. Every grown-up in the room knows that. Trader Sam, he's not meant to be realistic, and every adult can tell the difference, you know. Every grown-up in Disney World, the place you'll only ever find adults. Like, can you imagine someone walking around Disney World who didn't understand the difference between fantasy and reality? Like for example, a young child in Disney World? I don't think so. Now, I've never been to Disney World, so I've never heard of this Trader Sam character. Let us see if he truly is an offensive stereotype. Here's a photo of him. Please note the basket of shrunken heads, so not off to a great start here. According to the profile on the Disney Wiki, Trader Sam is the brother of Chief Na-Mi, and the grandson of Billamanga Wonga. All of these characters are shrunken head traders, and a couple of them are literal cannibals. It's likely that Sam and his headhunting family are inspired by the Jivaroan peoples, a group of indigenous people living in modern-day Peru and Ecuador. Jivaroan people did participate in shrinking the heads of their enemies, but there are a couple of things to note here. Jivaroan people shrank the heads of their enemies that they slew in battle for religious reasons. The idea of trading in severed heads only became a thing when demand for shrunken heads as souvenirs became a thing among Westerners. Also, Jivaroan people look like this. Sam looks distinctly more African, particularly in his pre-2005 appearance where he wore this. See, you can kind of see why some people might think that's a little bit racist, just to conflate African and South American indigenous groups or to present African people as literal spear-brandishing cannibals. I would say that exceeds the racism of the stereotype of an out-of-touch white dad, actually.
The same with the Pirates of the Caribbean. Disney has made significant changes to the Pirates of the Caribbean over the years. Whether Disney caved to political pressure or really thought the alterations were necessary is irrelevant.
Is it irrelevant? I mean, yeah, it is irrelevant, but your whole argument is that that's what matters about it, that Disney is making all of these choices for political reasons. That's the thing you're arguing. How could that be irrelevant to your argument?
Pirates used to be one of my favorite attractions. My family would always ride it first on our first day at the Magic Kingdom. Now, we do not even ride it every trip. When my family rides Pirates now, each of the changed scenes takes us out of the illusion because they remind us of reality and the politics that forced the changes.
Huh. Weird. I wonder what political changes he's referring to. Like, what kind of changes have they made to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride for woke reasons lately? Well, it seems like he's referring to the portion of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride where they're auctioning off wenches. Let me just quote from the Disney World wiki here. In the original attraction, Red was kidnapped and lined up to be auctioned off in the Take a Wench for a Bride auction. During the auction, the auctioneer was attempting to auction off a bride who none of the pirates placed money bids on due to her being overweight. Much to the auctioneer's dismay, the only woman they displayed any interest in was Red, as they constantly shouted at the auctioneer, "We wants the redhead," only for him to refuse to sell her and harass Red for being so flirtatious with the pirates. This incarnation of the scene was removed in 2017 due to its misogyny, fat-shaming, glamorized lighthearted portrayal of human trafficking, and implications that the redhead enjoyed being objectified while ultimately advantaging from being the victim of sex crimes. The redhead was thus updated to become one of the pirates herself. Those goddamn wokes. They gone too far this time. Let me tell you, the wokes, that's being too politically correct is the only reason that this family theme park would remove a joke about sex trafficking from their ride, which spawned a billion-dollar movie franchise for children. When me and my kids went to Disney World, we loved to laugh at the human trafficking until Disney let politics get in the way of good old-fashioned fun and replaced the lighthearted sex slavery with a badass lady pirate. Yawn. Boring. The man can't even argue that the changes are for the worse. He can only say that the fact that they were politically motivated distracts him or whatever. Seems like a pretty specific problem, pal. Wouldn't you want the ride to change? Like, if you're gonna go multiple times? Do you just want to keep paying thousands of dollars to see the same thing over and over? You fucking freak?
Disneyworld is going to lose us as customers if it continues down this path. I do not want to have Disneyworld taken away from us because Disney cares more about politics than happy guests. This should matter to the people of Orlando because if Disney drives away customers like me, Orlando loses money. I can take my tourist dollars elsewhere. I would rather keep spending them in Orlando, but people like me feel more and more excluded by Disney's decisions.
Yeah, but it sounds real hard, Jono, to feel excluded. Maybe some of the things as they were made other people feel unhappy and excluded. Like, for example, like an ugly stereotype that couldn't even get the ethnicity of the people they were trying to be racist against right. Maybe some people would prefer not to have the human trafficking joke when they bring their young children on the fun Johnny Depp ride. For the life of me, I cannot understand what about these decisions excludes Jonathan. He complains about Disney politicizing its output, but he can't seem to provide a single example beyond they removed a wildly racist caricature from the actual 50s. Leaving it there excludes people. How does taking it away exclude anyone?
Disney, please return to the values and vision of Walt. The customer experience should be the core of your business model. Immersion should not be sacrificed on the altar of political correctness and appeasing the Twitter mob.
Oh, you're on a first-name basis with Walt Disney now, huh? Walt Disney, that dude was an anti-Semite, and he didn't think women should be allowed to do creative work, and he was a union buster and a racist. His values were quite bad, actually. Here's the thing, though. Here's the real shit here. Disney doesn't do anything because it's woke. Every move Disney makes is a calculation designed specifically to get it more of that sticky, icky cashish. If it were even slightly more profitable to fill their parks with stereotypes and rape jokes, they'd do it tomorrow, no questions asked. The reason they're making these changes is because they've made the calculation that it'll be better for their bottom line. There's no guiding ideology behind Disney's actions. Disney isn't a person with beliefs. Disney is a collection of people, all of whom are contractually obligated to chase that paper. If there's one thing that the people at Disney take seriously, if there's one asset they've learned to protect, it's brand identity. Disney doesn't want you to think about the horrors of colonialism or sex trafficking when you hear their name. They want you to think, here's some of my money, show me a Star Wars guy now, please. Some bean counter has already crunched the numbers, and it's more profitable for them to change the terrible things than keep them. And yeah, they might lose a handful of deeply disturbed adult customers over that decision, but it's nothing compared to the horrible press they get for keeping them. Like, I mean, who the fuck even cares if they take them away? Who the fuck even cares? Von Boskirk certainly doesn't. By his own admission, his complaint is not the changes being made, but the reason for the changes. The reminder that Disney gave in to the Twitter mob. Instead of standing their ground and reaffirming his decision to never think critically about the things that he likes. If Disney admits they fucked up by putting a racist statue in their park and they take it away, that challenges him to think, oh hey, maybe I liked something with some racist stuff in it. What does that say about me? And that thought is too horrible for him to contemplate. So he has to pretend that he gives even the slightest shit about Trader Sam and the greater lore and the tradition of this particular statue being on this children's ride he likes. It's about how much I love this delightful, colorful character in his engaging story, not because I don't want to think about my pleasant childhood memories having some sort of ugly side to them. This man is 60 years old. He is an attorney, a prosecutor in Clark County, Nevada. He's so upset that a theme park made some minor cosmetic changes that he wrote this whole article, and he lives in Nevada. Hey Jono, handy tip. If you look around, you might find some fun places to go on vacation in your own state, bud. You live in Nevada. Hey, I hope you're enjoying ThoughtSlime 3.0. As part of the update around here, we're going to be discontinuing the eyeball zone. It's no longer in line with our vision moving forward and doesn't represent our values. Hello and welcome to the eyeball zone. We are beyond the powers of the woke Twitter mob and cannot be removed. Should the eyeballs ever stop flowing, the world will be swallowed by the cavernous pupil of the dread Lord Oculon. Hey, what does it matter if there's fucked up stuff at Disney World? What's the worst that could happen? In No Lone Wolves, Stochastic Terrorism and Parasocial Relationships, Ladygoggles outlines the ways that hateful speech, even when used flippantly, can subtly raise the temperature towards outright terrorism against marginalized people. While this video mostly deals with the intersection between stochastic terrorism and parasocial relationships, not going to do a second take, even though I stumbled it because it's hard to say stochastic terrorism and parasocial relationships, even though that time I did it perfectly. Anyway, Disneyworld is a brand that people have been trained for decades to think of as wholesome and family-oriented, so it's kind of like a parasocial relationship, but with a brand instead of a person. Now at this point, you're probably asking, hey, I got a small leftist project that I want to get some eyeballs on. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm sorry. Although actually one thing you could try is you could send exactly one email to thoughtslimeeditor@gmail.com with the word eyeballs somewhere in the description and pertinent details like your pronouns, and perhaps you will find yourself trapped here in the eyeball zone. Yuck, gorsh, it's me, Goofy, the cartoon dog. The real one. The fantasy is alive. I've come here to tell you to subscribe to Thoughtslime and like this video. Gorsh. Go ahead and go to patreon.com/Thoughtslime to donate some money if you want. I don't know why I, Goofy, the cartoon dog, have a vested interest in that. Gorsh. Yuck. If you would like more videos from Thoughtslime, not me, Goofy, go to youtube.com/Scaredy Cats TV. That's where Thoughtslime does videos about horror movies. Ah ha ha hooey.